Good evening. We're learning more tonight about the 13-year-old boy who was struck and killed by a GO train yesterday afternoon in Mississauga.
As his family and friends struggle to come to terms with their loss, those who live in the neighborhood say more needs to be done to keep kids away from the tracks. CTV's Beth McDonnell is live at the scene and joins us live. Beth.
Natalie, classmates, family, and people who live and work in the area have been coming by bringing flowers, stuffed toys, and taking a moment of silence. People are shaken. The boy who died was just 13 years old. An uncle weeps in front of flowers laid next to the train tracks where his 13-year-old nephew died, who family and friends have identified as Leandro Santos. What can we think right now, he says in Portuguese. Right now, we are not in the right frame of mind to think anything. It's not easy. Right now, our hearts are broken. He tells us family members are now on the way from Portugal, and the boy's mother is in hospital, not speaking. Russ Staples is a neighbor who lives a few doors down from the family.
I kind of knew it was him when I heard it was a boy on a little bike, just because I've seen him so many times in the neighborhood. But I never dreamed this would happen.
Alongside the sorrow, officials are thinking about safety. Police say the 13-year-old boy had been riding a type of dirt bike and appeared to go around the barrier. By all indications, the traffic signals were working with lights flashing and arms down.
I want to offer the condolences, both for myself and everybody at Metrolinx, the family of this young man. Each and every one of these incidents causes us, rightfully so, to look at whether we could do more.
The GO train along the Lakeshore West line cuts through a residential area. Moving westbound, it struck the boy who was with another child as well. Wednesday around 2:45 in the afternoon between Long Branch and Port Credit stations. Those who heard the collision and saw the aftermath are still struggling.
There was a boy, 10 to 12 years old. He was screaming over there like he was on the bike. There was two kids actually. One was just got hit by the train, and one was waiting. One was just standing over there and he was screaming and crying.
Train comes every 15 or 20 minutes here. So like living in this neighborhood and such incident happens, and it terrifies all the neighbors.
According to police, they're investigating the boy's death with Metrolinx, the agency running the line, examining the train's involvement in the collision. Area residents say they've seen kids cross the tracks when the lights are flashing before and other incidents.
2 years ago or a year ago, someone also got hit in this general area. So I have no idea whether it's like the track's faults or like people being neglectful of like trains being around.
Very dangerous. So I don't know, somebody have to do something else or whatever. New gates, new safety. That's very important.
As a family and community mourn the loss of a 13-year-old boy. Metrolinx says it wants people to be extra aware of flashing lights and bells at rail ground level crossings. Reporting live on Beth McDonnell. Nathan, back to you.
Well, thank you, Beth. It was a stubborn fire that burned for weeks and displaced hundreds of residents. Tonight, charges have been laid in connection to last November's Thorncliffe Park fire. Just ahead, we'll tell you who fire officials are holding responsible. Next to the ongoing fallout in an OPP investigation into allegations of collusion in the Umar Zamir case.
On Tuesday, provincial police cleared 3 Toronto officers accused of lying during the trial. Today, Zamir's lawyer fired back.
2 years after Umar Zamir was acquitted in the death of Detective Constable Jeffrey Northrup, and 2 days after an OPP investigation found no evidence of wrongdoing of the Toronto police officers accused of collusion in the case, the lawyer for Zamir is calling for a public inquiry.
We expected the worst from a police investigation into other police. We anticipated nothing good, but what we got was far worse.
Zamir was exonerated in the death of Northrup, a plainclothes officer who was run over in the Toronto City Hall parking garage in July 2021. The presiding judge in the case alleging at the time that the 3 officers who testified in the case had colluded.
I called for an independent review of the comments that were made at that time, which led to an independent criminal investigation. And the findings of that criminal investigation were focused on whether our officers, the allegations they faced, whether there was evidence to substantiate those allegations. And that's what the report was focused on.
The OPP report released Tuesday concluded there was no evidence the three testifying officers had lied about how Northrop was struck based on its own reconstruction of the crash, which contradicted expert testimony and security video.
It is scandalous that these sister police agencies are now trying to pass this off as either an independent investigation or one that uncovered new evidence.
On Tuesday, the Premier urged Ontario Superior Court Justice Anne Malloy to apologize to the officers.
We're accusing them of everything under the sun.
Today, the Canadian Civil Liberties Association called Doug Ford's comments wholly unacceptable, writing, quote, "Respect for judicial independence and the rule of law is the cornerstone of our constitutional democracy. No impropriety by the judge has been alleged or occurred. It is not the role of an elected official to quarterback a trial or the judiciary."
We are witnessing a chilling moment in the history of the Canadian justice system.
Zamir's lawyer is calling for the OPP reconstruction report to be released, saying an inquiry would restore public faith in the process.
Ontario's Chief Justice released a statement today saying it would be inappropriate for the judge in the Zamir trial to comment on the matter and that it would be unethical for judges to succumb to outside pressure to qualify their decisions or reasons. More news in a moment, but first a live look outside on this Thursday evening. It has been cloudy today, but so nice to be on the plus side. The start of a few days of milder temperatures. Lindsay Morrison is here with a look at the current conditions. Lindsay.
Yeah, Natalie, that's a beautiful live shot, a beautiful sight. This may be not so much by comparison. We have special weather statements in place for the Greater Toronto area. This is for tomorrow morning. Could be a bit of a messy AM drive, and communities like Milton, Caledon, and Halton Hills are under a freezing rain warning. We'll get to that in a moment. Let's talk about the warmth. 12 degrees right now in Windsor, +7 here in the city of Toronto. Very nice westerly winds today, and all is pretty quiet for now on the satellite and radar, and will be for the evening and overnight. But that forecast low of -1, that makes things tricky when this disturbance swings through. We'll take a detailed look at your forecast heading into the weekend coming up. But for now, Nathan, over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. An update now to a fire that forced hundreds of residents from their homes in the Thorncliffe Park late last night.
Today, Toronto's fire chief announced that multiple charges have been laid in connection with that 5-alarm blaze.
Toronto Fire Services, under the Fire Protection and Prevention Act, has charged PFC Construction, Inc. with multiple violations of the Ontario Fire Code, including failing to protect combustible materials from ignition sources during hot surface applications, failing to conduct a fire watch and ensure a fire warning is sounded to alert occupants and notify the fire department, failing to provide portable fire extinguishers when conducting hot surface applications.
Chief Jim Jessup says an investigation determined that construction activity sparked the fire at 11 Thorncliffe Park Drive in late November. The fire burned in a shared wall of another building at 21 Overley Boulevard. It was not extinguished for more than 2 weeks, prompting the complete evacuation of both buildings. Some residents were unable to return to their homes until January. In a statement to CTV News, lawyers for PFC Construction said, quote, as this matter is now before the courts and to preserve the integrity of the investigation and legal process, PFC Construction, Inc. will not be making a statement at this time other than to say that the company has cooperated with every step of the investigation thus far, takes the charges very seriously, and will vigorously defend against these charges.
An investigation is underway into a fatal house fire in Niagara Falls. It happened on Elm Street near Stanley Avenue around 6 last night. Police say a man was found dead inside the home after the flames were put out. Niagara police are investigating along with the Ontario Fire Marshal's office. Halton police are searching for several suspects following a violent home invasion in Milton. Police say 5 men forced their way into a home near Roseway and Wellwood Terrace early yesterday morning. Police say they assaulted a woman who confronted them. She suffered minor injuries. The group stole money and designer clothing from the home before leaving. They're asking anyone with information to come forward.
A Toronto man has been found guilty of first-degree murder in the death of his former girlfriend in 2023. 43-year-old Marina Nagolia was found dead in her Richmond Hill home in August of 2023 after police had been called to conduct a welfare check. Her former boyfriend, 38-year-old Daniil Matin, was found at the scene with self-inflicted stab wounds to his throat. A forensic pathologist says Nagolia, who also suffered stab wounds, died of neck compressions. The Crown also argued she had been sexually assaulted. A sentencing date for Matin will be set later this month.
Toronto's getting a funding infusion from the federal government that will be used to improve the TTC. Ottawa is providing nearly $184 million that will be applied to the Transit Commission. The money will be used to help the TTC maintain and repair transit infrastructure. It will also go towards projects aimed at making Toronto's subway stations more accessible and easier to navigate. And the province is working to update its medical records system.
It's all part of an effort to improve primary care for patients across Ontario. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris has the details.
It's the sound of each visit to a new doctor. Answers to all the questions you've been asked as a patient before. The province wants to end all that.
Advancing a new province-wide primary care medical record system.
Most doctors are using some version of digital systems, but they don't always connect, complicating sharing test results, allergies, and your health history.
When that information is missing, it can not only lead to safety risks, but it can also lead to unnecessary repeat tests and delays in care.
If this sounds familiar, it's because it is. The Liberals started the ball rolling on a digital health system, e-health, in the early aughts. By 2009, $1 billion was out the door with little to show for it, and the then health minister was forced to resign. By 2016, Ontario had spent $8 billion on digital records. Well, the current health minister hopes to avoid those blunders through a market sounding exercise.
It's really talking to vendors who are interested in working in the space. So do you have the capacity to do this work? Show us what that would look like and how do they talk together when we have multiple systems.
The Liberal health critic and former ER doctor skeptical after a data breach at Ontario Health at Home.
We are still reeling from the fact that this government was shaken down by criminals for a ransom that was paid with taxpayer dollars. And the government is now asking us to trust them again.
This process is really just beginning. There's no timeline to bring this digital record system online and no price tag attached to it.
There is new money coming for primary care in the provincial budget next week.
An additional $325 million to further expand primary care and connect everyone in Ontario to a family doctor or primary care team by 2029.
While the opposition says that's an admirable goal.
What happens when your family doctor retires or closes their practice or moves somewhere else?
Lennox wants a plan to keep patients attached to doctors.
Not just, one time so we can announce it before an election year.
Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
Still ahead this hour, finding ways to meet the needs of patients on waiting lists for access to primary care. The call to expand roles for health professionals to alleviate the staffing crisis. But first, gas prices for Canadians showed no signs of coming down today, and they skyrocketed for drivers in the UK and across Europe after Iranian strikes on key pieces of energy infrastructure in the Middle East.
In Britain, prices soared over 20% today, and in Europe, costs have more than doubled. CTV's Heather Wright is following developments on the war from Dubai.
An explosion near a Saudi Aramco site in Riyadh lit up the night sky, one of several sites targeted by Iran, as this war spreads to energy sites in the Gulf. Iran is retaliating for a strike that hit its South Pars facility on Wednesday. Attacks were reported in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and in the United Arab Emirates. The attacks on energy infrastructure have rattled markets and are leading to concerns about disruption to the global supply chain, with energy prices jumping 10% this morning.
Will backfire politically.
Today, foreign ministers from a number of Middle Eastern countries met in the Saudi capital. So far, they have not responded militarily to Iran's attacks, but warned that could change.
As we have stated quite clearly, we have reserved the right to take military actions if deemed necessary.
Here in Dubai, warning alarms go off daily, with the vast majority of missile and drone attacks successfully intercepted. Work at construction sites continues, and there is little mention of what is generally referred to as the current situation.
We're here in the spice souk, which is normally pretty busy, and it's relatively quiet today, partially due to Ramadan, but also the government has asked people to work from home, and school has moved online.
As Ramadan ends, all outdoor prayers for Eid al-Fitr have moved inside for safety, many bracing for what could be a lengthy conflict.
This war has really gone from a short, sharp Venezuelan in and out to it could be this decade's version of a quagmire for the United States, again, just a la Iraq, Afghanistan, but this one's actually got more impacts because it's economic.
In Lebanon, Israel stepped up its attacks on Beirut as it expanded its ground invasion against Hezbollah, the Iran-backed militant group that operates out of the southern part of the country. Lebanon says the death toll has now climbed past 1,000, with an estimated 1 million people internally displaced. Today, Lebanon's prime minister said his country did not want this war and is asking for negotiations with Israel to end it.
As countries grapple with skyrocketing energy prices, there are also concerns this conflict could soon impact the global supply chain. Aid groups are already sounding the alarm about vital relief unable to get to countries like Afghanistan and Sudan. Heather Wright, CTV News, Dubai.
Attacks on oil and gas facilities in the Middle East are raising major concerns in financial markets.
The U.S. president insisting his excursion, as he calls it, will be over soon, as he met today with Japan's new prime minister. With more, here is CTV's Joy Malbin in Washington.
It's an honor to have you. Thank you very much.
Japan's new prime minister walking a fine line with this president, the pacifist nation condemning Iran and its pursuit of a nuclear weapon.
Only you, Donald, who can achieve peace across the world.
But like other allies, reluctant to jump into the president's war, offering economic support instead of warships. Trump is still bitter with NATO nations who rejected his initial call for military support to secure the Strait of Hormuz, a critical oil supply route blocked by Iran.
I expect Japan to step up because, we have that kind of relationship. I'm not surprised that they would step up. We don't need much. We don't need anything.
And with more attacks on oil and gas facilities in the Middle East, rattling energy markets, and fast becoming a global crisis, the Trump administration says it plans to remove U.S. sanctions on Iranian oil stranded on ships. Trump was pressed, though, on why he didn't inform allies first before going to war.
We didn't tell anybody about it because we wanted surprise. Who knows better about surprise than Japan? Okay? Why didn't you tell me about Pearl Harbor? Okay?
The president facing political pushback as the price tag mounts, and the Pentagon now asking for another $200 billion to fund this war.
As far as $200 billion, I think that number could move, obviously. It takes money to kill bad guys.
And that's raising eyebrows in Congress.
How long is this going on? Are there going to be boots on the ground? How much is this going to cost? And the answer on most of this is, I don't know.
Hoping to reassure Americans, the president claims his operation in Iran will be over pretty soon, saying that he has no plans to deploy ground troops at this time. Joy Malbin, CTV News, Washington.
The head of the United Nations is urging the U.S. and Israel to end the war and is calling on Iran to stop attacking its neighbors in the Middle East.
It's high time to end this war that is risking to get completely out of control.
UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres also called for the Strait of Hormuz to be opened as the closure poses increasing threats to the world economy. Leslie wraps up a U.S. tour. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre has made an appearance on the controversial but highly popular podcast hosted by Joe Rogan.
The two men talked at length about major Canadian politics, storylines from the Freedom Convoy and Alberta separation to the impact of U.S. tariffs. CTV's Rachel Aiello has the details.
We've got to get you into the Prime Minister.
Absolutely. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre taking a bite out of the Big Apple.
It's great to be in the United States of America. Americans love Canada. That's the great news that I take away from this trip.
Before New York, Poilievre met politicians and executives in Austin, Texas, and also sat down with popular but divisive podcast host Joe Rogan for more than 2 hours to talk up Canada.
So
there's a narrative in America, and the narrative is that you were about to win and your party was about to win, but then Trump came along and said he was going to turn Canada into the 51st state, and everybody went crazy. Is that accurate?
I wouldn't say they went crazy. So we're never going to be the 51st state. And I just wish he'd knock that off so that we can get back to talking about the things that we can do.
The Joe Rogan Experience is one of the most listened to podcasts globally, with an average 11 million listeners per episode. And Poilievre sought to leverage that audience, while confirming he hasn't talked to U.S. President Donald Trump about the trade war.
I've said, listen, I'll leave it to the Prime Minister to do the negotiating. And I've said I'll support him any way I can. Even in my visit down here, I'm sending him text messages to tell him what's going on.
Rogan has been criticized for platforming polarizing figures and spreading misinformation. He had invited Poilievre to come on during the last election, but the Conservative leader declined. Now, the party says the podcast is an ideal platform to reach more potential voters, but also speak to Americans.
And we had a great conversation. We need to harness the goodwill of the American people, and what better place to do it than on the biggest podcast in the world.
Tonight, Poilievre will further outline his vision for Canada-U.S. relations in a keynote speech at the Foreign Policy Association in New York. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
The RCMP commissioner says there is no evidence to suggest India is currently conducting any foreign interference in Canada.
Mike Duham made those comments in an exclusive interview with CTV News today. CTV's Abigail Beeman reports.
The drumbeat of foreign interference followed the Prime Minister during his trip to India, where he touted billions of dollars in deals with the country and invited Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Canada. Right before he left Canada, a government official said India was no longer involved in foreign interference. A claim that saw pushback from the intelligence community, 6 in Canada who say they are still targets of violence, and eventually, while taking questions after leaving India, from Carney himself.
I would not use those words. Okay.
Now, in an exclusive interview on CTV's Power Play, the RCMP commissioner backs up the original comments.
In the files that we have that involves transnational repression, we're not seeing any connection right now with any foreign entity. So, based on the criminal information, the investigations that we have presently.
Mike Duham told Vashi Kapelos more than once there currently is not evidence of transnational repression by the Indian government in Canada.
We have people that are intimidating people, harassing people, but connecting the dots to a foreign entity, regardless of the country, we don't have that.
While India's High Commissioner to Canada told us in Mumbai it was never happening in the first place.
I've been telling from the very beginning, it's a problem Canada has to resolve itself. I'm just saying it's not a question of no longer. It was a never happened.
Canada's spy agency has called India one of the main perpetrators of foreign interference and espionage, according to its most recent annual report. During the Prime Minister's trip, CSIS doubled down on that, saying its threat assessment has not changed. CTV News has asked again, in light of this new interview, whether India is still considered a main perpetrator. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Coming up, she answered a job posting for an international courier and ended up in a Hong Kong prison for smuggling cocaine. Part 2 of a W5 investigation just ahead.
I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, scammers are going door to door across Ontario trying to convince you your home needs urgent work. Following more cases of fraud, police have issued a warning. I can tell you the red flags to watch out for. That story is just ahead.
Well, the spring equinox is tomorrow, and already we are seeing slightly more day than night at this time of year, and we are gaining about 3 minutes of daylight per day at this rate. It's also going to feel a lot more like spring over the next couple of days, but you'll notice we've got some messy weather to talk about. Details are after the break here on CTV News at 6.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400. From your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Well, scammers typically go door to door in the spring, trying to convince homeowners their house needs repairs or renovations.
But there have been many cases of fraud this past winter, enough that police issued a warning to be cautious of aggressive contractors. Here's Pat Foran and Consumer Alert.
Most scams happen the same way. Someone comes to your door saying they're in the neighborhood and offering free inspections. They always seem to find a problem and then try to scare you into paying tens of thousands of dollars for work you don't even need. Colleen McMichael says contractors came to her door and offered a free roof inspection. They claimed her home was in such poor shape, her roof was about to collapse. She spent almost $50,000 on shoddy repairs.
They were really pushing me and, yes, frightening me into thinking that something devastating would happen to the roof and to my house if I didn't take care of it.
Someone also knocked on Leslie Bentley's door offering a free inspection. He claimed her roof was in terrible shape and about to cave in. The scammer charged her $7,000 and tried to get her to pay $27,000 more.
I think I started to cry. I was really upset.
Hamilton police issued a warning saying be careful if someone unexpectedly knocks on your door.
If it's a real good contractor, they're going to be booked up during this part of the year especially. So if they just happen to be in your area and they want to help you out with your house, be wary of that.
Warning signs of renovation scams include unsolicited door-to-door offers, sudden price increases once work begins, high-pressure sales tactics, unmarked vehicles and mismatched company names, and poor quality rushed unfinished work. In the roofing scam, the contractor may actually wreck your roof to convince you it needs repairs.
They'll come down and show you pictures of what you're actually dealing with. And they deceive you. They make you think that that's how your home actually is, but they've actually caused the damage, and they're the ones that want the work.
To protect yourself from scams, get multiple estimates, research the company, avoid large upfront payments, don't pay in full until the job is completed, get a written contract, and take your time. Police say as the warm weather arrives, they expect driveway paving scams will begin. Fraudsters may use cheap materials, do a poor job, and then leave debris behind for the homeowners to deal with. Scammers may have glossy brochures and professional-looking websites, but they're easy to make and the information could be fake. Speak with family and friends if you need work done, and if a contractor is being aggressive and won't leave your home, call the police. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
Following the death of Ontario's beloved forecasting groundhog, Wyerton Willie, animal rights activists are hoping to bury the practice of using live animals for the traditional winter predictions.
And they are offering up a few alternatives,
such as 3D holographic projections, an animatronic groundhog, or any other alternative that doesn't involve taking yet another live groundhog out of their natural environment.
For more than 7 decades, Willie has emerged from his slumber with either good news or bad. Of course, multiple groundhogs played that role. PETA wants an end to what it calls the cruel tradition by transitioning to more ethical options. However, the town says Willie brings joy to the community, and they'll be looking for a new prognosticator for the years to come.
Was life that bad for Willie? I hope not.
One of the greatest groundhogs of all time, you might argue.
The good news is tomorrow is the first day of spring.
Yeah, and did Willie call for that? I don't even remember.
Willie called for an early spring. I think we'll leave it up to everyone at home to judge whether or not we received that. But I know I miss Willie, and I'll look forward to seeing whoever replaces Willie, if it's an animatronic or a hologram or a real-life groundhog.
The predictions were sliding in the later years.
I mean, well, we'll see. We'll see what next year brings. But yes, we're all very excited to welcome a new season tomorrow, hopefully with some improving weather conditions, although today was pretty nice. Here's what it looked like a little earlier on. We had some sun mixed in with the cloud, and temperatures, boy, oh boy, we soared past our expected high to about 9 degrees today in the city of Toronto and right around the GTA. Double-digit temperatures today in the southwest, but now things get a little bit complicated. The temperature is going to dip just below freezing through the overnight hours, and with a system coming in, we've got the risk of some freezing rain. In fact, there's a freezing rain warning in place for areas like Milton, Caledon, Halton Hills, and then extending into Orangeville and Mount Forest. It is a special weather statement elsewhere in the GTA, and that's because we are going to see some rain. We could see a period of freezing rain. We may also get perhaps a little bit of snow or ice pellets mixing in. So let's pause this at around 7:30 tomorrow morning. Fortunately, I don't think quite as many people are going to be out on the roads tomorrow with it being March break, but this could impact the AM drive. So a period of freezing rain. There's the snow, of course, in blue, and we do expect to flip over to some rainfall as we progress through the morning and as the temperature rises. Could be a pretty decent amount here locally. Notice how fast this moves. So by the early afternoon, we are drying out and the temperature is rising. But let's give you an idea of what we're expecting numbers-wise with those different types of precip. As far as rain is concerned, upwards of 10 millimeters is what we anticipate. As far as any ice is concerned, again, those communities under the warning could pick up maybe 2 to 5 millimeters of ice. And then for snowfall, north of Peterborough, anywhere from 5 to maybe even 15 centimeters of snow is going to be possible once again. And this isn't the only system that we are watching in the short range. Heading into the weekend, this one here has the possibility of bringing us some rain or maybe some snow. And that could get going as early as Saturday night and will impact us throughout the day on Sunday. More on that in your 7-day forecast in a moment. We've dropped a degree. It is now 6 at Pearson. Waking up tomorrow morning again just below freezing means the possibility of some freezing rain mixing in with some light rain. And then we find ourselves climbing all the way to 10 degrees for a daytime high tomorrow, so very mild. And this is a look at the 7-day forecast. So +7 for Saturday. That's a nice looking day, dayside. Again, into the night, we could see some snow or some rain moving in. Sunday, looks like showers during the day, maybe some mixing as we cool down at night. And then for the early days of next week, a little chilly as the kids head back to school. That's the weather for now. Nathan, over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Also tonight, passengers pay hundreds more for airline tickets as the war in the Middle East raises the price of jet fuel to new altitudes. The search for the best vacation deal coming up. Could nurse practitioners, pharmacists, and paramedics help provide more primary care in Canada?
A new report asks whether an expanded role could help address the healthcare crisis. CTV's health reporter Pauline Chan explains.
Yvonne Dale is a patient at Emery Keelsdale NPLC, and her story is a familiar one.
Well, I live in the neighborhood. My son was already coming here, and since my family doctor retired, he put me on the wait list. And so when the space became available, I was able to come here because it was difficult to find a family doctor that's was accepting new patients, and I did try.
So an NPLC is a nurse practitioner-led clinic, meaning that the nurse practitioners are the primary care providers.
Maroc Fazal can prescribe, diagnose, and even recommend tests for her patients. The clinic tries to be a healthcare hub, including a dietitian and a social worker on staff.
Here at Emery Keelsdale, they're also planning to bring in a chiropodist because many of their patients are dealing with chronic diabetes and require frequent foot care.
Mostly what we see in our community here are patients who have not had care for 15 years, 20 years.
Actually, we're getting better at staying alive with a lot more chronic disease, which is great, but that means that people need care.
The new study from the University of Toronto looks at 17 high-income countries and how they're all dealing with the growing problem of access to primary care and expanding the scope of practice for pharmacists, paramedics, and nurse practitioners is a key part of that. The recommendations include clear regulatory frameworks.
It reduces, the ambiguity about different roles, like is it clear what people are able to do, and allows people to kind of practice at their full extent.
Increasing the number of healthcare professionals, prioritizing innovative projects like enabling paramedics to diagnose on the scene and avoid a trip to the ER, and communicating to Canadians.
So that people understand all the different options, understand how to navigate through their system.
The study also suggests that although there are large initial investments to train and hire more staff,
what we see is that over time, what these changes produce is additional value. So what we can see is a return on investment in these initial upfront costs.
And Yvonne, a nurse herself, is very happy with her NPLC. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Workers at 3 safe injection sites in Toronto say provincial cuts to other programs could lead to more strain at their locations. The Ford government cut funding for 7 supervised drug consumption sites in Ontario. In Toronto, the move likely means 3 sites, which are funded by donors, will remain. Workers at those sites are concerned the change will further strain their resources and lead to more overdoses amid open drug use. The province says it will initiate a 90-day wind-down period to give the 7 defunded consumption sites time to transition.
New data from Stats Canada is outlining the impact screen time is having on kids. Researchers studied the same group of kids in 2019 and 2023 and found that 44% followed the Canadian Pediatric Society's screen time guidelines. There are 2 hours for kids between 5 and 17 years old, 1 hour for kids between 2 and 5, and no screen time for kids under the age of 2. Those who followed the guidelines were less likely to have anxiety, wear glasses, or having difficulty learning, remembering, and making friends.
The University of Oxford has published its annual World Happiness Report, and Canada ranks 25th. The report highlighted how life evaluations for people under 25 in Canada, the U.S., Australia, and New Zealand have dropped significantly over the past decade. Researchers point to heavy social media use as a key contributor to the decline in well-being for young people, especially teenage girls in English-speaking countries. Finland ranked as the world's happiest country for the 9th straight year, with several other Nordic countries also included in the top 10. Well, for Canadians trying to escape a never-ending winter with a trip down south, it has been an unusual year.
Global instability has meant fewer options and sky-high prices. CTV senior correspondent Judy Chin reports on how travelers are adjusting.
Your luggage is taken care of.
This retired couple is booking their flight to Asia and their cruise a year in advance.
Japan and then Southeast Asia. And we're really looking forward to Japan.
But buying tickets early is already costing more than expected.
Prices go up 20-30% on flights for the summer, so people are starting to plan a little earlier and really hoping that they capture those savings before the prices go up even more.
The war in the Middle East is driving up the price of jet fuel. The average weekly price has climbed to $175 US a barrel, compared to $99 the week before the war on Iran began. Air Canada, WestJet, and Air Transat have already increased their fares. Other international airlines have tacked on fuel surcharges or reduced their routes. From the Middle East to the Caribbean, it has been a tumultuous travel season. Power outages and food shortages in Cuba forced airlines to suspend flights. Cartel violence in Mexico's Puerto Vallarta scared away some travelers, including these women who paid $500 more for their vacation package in the Dominican Republic.
When they didn't have gas and power, that's when it went up, but not for Cuba because we couldn't go. Yep. And then that's why we're going to Punta Cana. Even we wanted to go to Mexico.
Despite global conflicts, some travelers remain determined to see the world.
We're at a point in our lives where either do it now or never.
The low Canadian dollar is also having an impact. The loonie is currently hovering at about 73 cents US, where it's been stuck for the past 3 years, leading Canadians to choose destinations where their money goes further. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
After the break, how a teenager from Cambridge ended up in a Hong Kong prison after allegedly being duped into smuggling cocaine. Part 2 of a W5 investigation coming up.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
On the markets, the Canadian dollar closed down slightly today, finishing the day at 72.8 cents US. Western Canadian Select Oil was up by nearly $1.50, ending the day at $79.26 a barrel. And the TSX closed down almost 460 points at 31,854.98.
A W5 investigation has exposed how some Canadians have been lured into carrying drugs around the world.
Now W5's Avery Haynes digs into the social media playbook being used by criminals.
Arrested at 19 with 25 kilos of cocaine in her suitcase, Jade is allowed one phone call a month from her prison in Hong Kong.
If you plead guilty, they will give you a lesser charge.
I'm pleading not guilty, Mom.
Okay.
A timer counts down her 10 allotted minutes with her family back in Cambridge, Ontario.
Okay, all right, time's up.
Love you. Love you, baby. Bye.
I love you. Bye.
Bye. Love you.
Inside the laptop Jade left behind, a digital roadmap to how she was tricked. Her mum Nadiria and dad Gary show her Instagram messages, responding to a job offer for an international package shipper.
We pay your flights, accommodation, food.
The job pays $5,000.
And she says, dude, this seems like a dream. Like it's not even real. Yeah.
As long as you're above 18, no criminal record and valid passport, you're good to go.
She's a bit skeptical here. You're telling me, okay, so how do I know this is legit and I'm not about to get kidnapped?
Jail is the last thing on my mind.
If she finds friends to join the team, she'll earn $250. She's instructed to send a video verifying her address.
Oh, it's so awkward. Oh, my door. Oh, we got it.
She's so inexperienced that he explains basic travel information in a voice message.
You'll get on the plane, they'll give you a menu.
She writes, "This is luxury. I feel too poor to have this."
It's sickening. He's just rolling up a snowball and tossing it in hell.
Jade is one of 4 Canadians recently arrested in Hong Kong with a total of 100 kilos of cocaine in their suitcases. I visited each of them in different Hong Kong prisons.
We couldn't record anything inside, so I just had to frantically write out notes.
Omar, who turned 21 behind bars, is from the same region in Ontario as Jade. I asked him if he thinks recruiters are still targeting young people.
He said, I know they are. I know that they're trying to get more people, and they're going to end up in prison just like me.
All 4 Canadians told similar stories. They were flown on the same airline, booked into the same hotel in Hong Kong, required to check in every 2 minutes after landing, and told to use the serial number on currency as a password for picking up and handing off suitcases. So why Hong Kong?
There is a huge demand for it. It's expensive, and people pay a lot of money for cocaine.
Private investigator Melissa Tan has researched cases of foreign drug mules and says cocaine here goes for about $200 a gram, more than double the cost in Canada.
Cocaine users in Hong Kong are actually the affluent, lawyers, bankers.
Hong Kong has some of the longest prison sentences in the world for drug offenses. Unless the 4 Canadians can prove they didn't know what was in their suitcases, they face life behind bars.
Tonight, Avery Haynes looks to track down the Canadian recruiters. You can catch that story on CTV National News.
Toronto Blue Jays playoff hero Trey Savage is set to start the 2026 season on the injured list. The rookie pitcher will be out of action with an injury to his throwing shoulder. Savage has not faced live batters during spring training. The 22-year-old rocketed through in the minors last year, all the way to the big leagues, and eventually pitching in the World Series. He joins Jose Barrios and Shane Bieber as other Jays pitchers out with injuries to start the season.
Longtime Toronto Blue Jays broadcaster Buck Martinez will be inducted into the club's new Hall of Excellence at the Rogers Centre this summer.
There is no more fitting first inductee into this new hall than Buck Martinez. Buck has played so many important roles for this franchise, first as a player, then as a manager, and then for decades as our broadcaster.
Martinez retired earlier this year after calling more than 4,000 games, spending nearly 4 decades with the organization on the field and in the booth. The Hall of Excellence, as part of the Jays' 50th season celebrations, will open on the 100-level concourse behind right field to honor players, coaches, and broadcasters who shaped the franchise.
Just ahead, one of the coolest events ever for fans of the Maple Leafs. Kids get the chance to get up close and personal with their favorite players. The Maple Leafs hosted their first ever Fan Day today.
And they did so with an assist from the Toronto Scepters. CTV's Jessica Smith has more.
It will be a March break to remember for Toronto hockey fans.
It's very awesome to be here on a March break day. I just like to see hockey players. It's like really fun.
It's very cool. Like we're like close to the glass. We get to go on the ice after.
The inaugural Leafs Fan Day event at Scotiabank Arena gave fans of all ages the chance to see the Toronto Maple Leafs and Toronto Scepters up close.
A day where they come in and it's just fun for them, and it's they're not thinking about the game so much, they're just thinking about being with each other and having fun with the crowd.
Both teams playing in their own showcase scrimmage and skills competition, giving fans the chance to see the Scepters and the Leafs on the same ice.
Yeah, I think it's a huge step just for the game of hockey to have us on the same ice surface at the same time, you know. I'm just trying to grow the sport.
Come here today for a fun little practice day and have fans cheering and the PA system going and the flags waving throughout our fun little 3-on-3 game. It was a fun atmosphere for us, and I think the fans had a great time.
With fans cheering loud,
Go Leafs, go!
And proud,
Go Scepters, go!
And for fans and players alike, the day was all about celebrating the hockey community and the love of the game.
Because I love hockey, and I think hockey is very fun to watch.
Both clubs to recognize the city's passion for the game and how well they support both teams.
The day wrapping up with the Rogers Screen Break free unplug and play skate down on the ice. Speaking both to the Scepters and the Leafs, players are saying heading into next year for Fan Day, they're hoping to play with or against each other or go head-to-head in the skills competition. Jessica Smith, CTV News.
Right. Looks like fun. Got to say, we're getting close to the end of the outdoor public hockey rinks.
Yeah,
ice rinks.
I was just looking at this, wondering how much longer they're going to last. I'm sure those conditions are a little bit melty.
I think so. Hopefully nobody is slipping on ice on a sidewalk tomorrow morning. We do have the possibility of freezing rain. In fact, there's a freezing rain warning that's in place. One more look at the advisories that are in effect, including a special weather statement for the city of Toronto. This system is going to impact your Friday morning, then it moves on out. A quick look at tomorrow's morning temperature versus afternoon when it's going to get quite mild. And there we have one more look at the weekend forecast and beyond. Natalie and Nathan.
Thank you, Lindsay. Be sure to join Omar Sachedena tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Sean Leithong with our next local newscast at 11:30.
Meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here at CTV News, thank you for watching. Have a good night.